Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Shooting the Shelf here on Just Shelve It, Season 2, Episode 25. Curtis, we are at, we're one episode away from halfway through the year.
Nice.
And just a little shout out here. It is officially 1 year tomorrow since Shooting the Shelf got started last June, so it's technically the 1 year anniversary of the show. But I'm waiting for next January when you've been on as my official co-host for a year to really make a big fuss about it. But yeah, so 1 year of Shooting the Shelf is this weekend. So just want to say thank you to everybody out there who's watching, joins in every week or watches the replay. We really appreciate it. It looks like we got a bunch of folks out in the chat already. Who we got out there, Curtis?
Looks like we've got Dave Orkin, J Mac, Kevin Dufresne, Chris Durant, Commander Green, Joe Gonzalez, Matt Stein, Carver Customs, and Stephanie Orkin. So appreciate everybody that's joined us so far.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Yeah, absolutely. So cheers to that. Thank you all for being here tonight. Or if you're watching on the replay, thanks for joining there. We do have our guest tonight. And I just lost my words. So let's just do a warm digital welcome to Big Dub. Welcome to the shelf.
It could be large and warm at the same time. I mean,
very large warm.
We're all gentlemen of a certain stature, so I think that both large and warm works. Thank you. Congratulations on the. I didn't realize. So you've been weekly all year so far this year?
Sundays. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's my YouTube my main Sunday YouTube show is weekly. Been weekly for a while. I know that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort. It really does. Consistency is important, and it's not easy. And so,
being him doing this for a year is impressive, but him doing 6 months of being with me is even more impressive. So, so that's nice.
No, it's fun.
I might have to go for the year anniversary tomorrow. I might have to go back and watch like our first interview where you actually had me on as a guest.
I think you were like number 3. I think
it was pretty quick. Yeah,
you were my first, I think, guest that I didn't know from my personal life, like outside of the group. Yeah,
and then it was just a little seduction there to get on the show.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Then I weaseled my way in. So
yeah. That's why it's warm and large. Right there.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, it is that time of the show. We just jump right into our shelf selections, where we go through stuff that Curtis and I have just jumped out at us during the week that we really appreciated from the communities. And let's start off with that.
Okay. First one is one of mine. This is FBall13Z. I'm a sucker for these Durgar. Did I say that right, Jesse? Nice.
Yep.
And this is another excellent one. I know it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but it did an amazing job on the face there, around the eyes and the mouth.
Matt, that's in the chat. That's my buddy Matt's.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, just killed this thing. I mean, I love the colors on it. Like it's got this. It almost looks like the armor is kind of like on fire, or has like a lava effect to it. And then the face is just amazing. So
I will. I only learned this. Matt and I were with some other friends at Joe Fest a couple weeks ago, and he has painted something like, 20 dwarves or something like that. And all of it is in just like the last few months. Like I think his first Mythic Legions purchase at all is in this calendar year.
That's cool.
It was, I was impressed with how quickly he's dove right in.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, we're going to have to get you on here at some point. So we'll be in touch if you want.
I might have to hit him up for those bracers too. I don't know if those are custom ones or if because they got like spikes on them. And I don't know. I'm not sure where those are from. So
Yeah, since February. Yep, very cool. Yeah, I love that kind of. It's like the inset pieces, like the carved pieces on the armor, and I'm pretty sure those. Oh, I've seen similar pauldrons to that from Toy Forge and Anthony. But I like how it's got that kind of like that glowing embers or molten steel kind of look to the recessed parts. That's really cool looking. Yeah, he's been killing these things.
yeah, because it doesn't look like at least like the circles and stuff. Like it doesn't look like one solid color. It looks like it's kind of blended, so it does give that like it's on fire effect. So yeah, really cool.
Love it.
Next one is Jesse's.
Yeah, this is from our very own Joe Gonzalez out in the chat, Joe G Customs on Instagram. I absolutely hate spiders to the effect the other day. Someone posted something with spider in our big group chat, and I just put as many flame comments on it until it was out of view. But I just thought this was really cool using, I can't remember if it was costume jewelry or something to make the loin piece there and the staff. But I think just use some really cool pieces there, and that lace or whatever is the skirt just made a really interesting looking character. So I was really impressed with this one.
Yeah, I love that the spider costume jewelry part hanging down from the waist. That's really cool. And then like on the top of the scepter, it's kind of hard to see at first, but there's like a spider on top of the scepter that's really cool. And yeah, this just came out really well. I mean, Joe's been bringing the fire all year, and this is just another great piece. So
yes, yeah, yes, Joe. They are fake spiders, but it still makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. Okay, next one's mine. This is Fig_life on Instagram. And just found this Instagram this past week and does some amazing toy photography to where they look realistic. Like if you just go through their Instagram, they got so many great photos that like you look at it and it's toy photography, but it looks like it's straight out of a movie. And a lot of them, like they'll show kind of the behind the scenes on how they set up the shot and stuff like that. So highly recommend. Just really cool shots there.
I love the Darth Vader one because usually you're so used to seeing the Darth Vader and Stormtroopers Imperial stuff like very straight on, very like 90-degree angles and everything. I like the slight off skew to this one. I just adds like a cool element to that one.
Well, and I thought it was interesting that they didn't have the lightsaber. Like I got him holding the lightsaber, but it doesn't have it turned on. And this is kind of like, and then you see him pointing at whoever, and it's like he's just threatening them. Like it hasn't quite gone hostile yet, but it's about to. So yeah. Yeah,
and I'm not sure what figure that Yoda is with the closed eyes. I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not sure, but it's awesome looking.
Yeah.
All right.
It could be a hot toy. I can't tell the scale from that.
Yeah. I can't remember any Black Series that has the closed eye feature like that. So that's interesting.
I guess it could be like a vintage collection too. I mean, it could be a small scale.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
All right. Next one is Jesse's.
I saw Dennis posted this. And I really liked how he just mixed some Gorgo pieces with the Gorgo 2 with Magnus and just gave this kind of more, less. I mean, he still feels threatening, but he doesn't feel as like pure evil. But I feel like just the way the context of the shot, again, it's got the outside element and everything. I messaged her. I was like, man, I would not want to see that guy like coming out of the misty woods, at me.
Yeah, I was messaging with Dennis back and forth on one of the posts in the Cabal not too long ago, and sounds like he hasn't been able to paint for a little bit. He's got some personal stuff going on. But I'm glad to see that he's at least like doing some pop and swaps and still kind of playing and having fun, even though he's not able to paint right now. So, wish him the fast getting back into the painting, because love his work. His stuff that he brings to LegionsCon is so great, but I'm very happy to at least see him kind of playing still and having fun.
Totally agree. And yeah, hope all that turns around for him quick.
This next one is from our good friend Anthony Halseal of the Toy Forge. And it's kind of some,
that's not a dwarf.
It's not a dwarf, but it is one of the customs that he's bringing to LegionsCon. And I just loved this combination. I mean, I'm a sucker for any kind of Templar, Dark Templar, whatever. And then the mix of parts here with the, adding some of the color with the red and the silver, and then the belt work, the interlaced belt work that he did there to hold his weapons and the little sheath, and then the soft goods. Like, it's just a great combo. I thought this came out amazing. I just love the entire look that this has.
Yes, that's very cool. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that might be a Carvar Customs base dio back there.
I know it's the Carver Customs lights. At least it appears those. I don't know if that's a base that Anthony put together and added those lights, or if that he bought the whole thing from them, but it definitely looks like they're lights for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I like the subtle, like the black and red with just the minor accents from the what is that, the Gerard, and with the Dark Templar pieces, and yeah, the belt. Seeing the mace clipped into the belt like that, just I don't know why I never occurred to me to do that, but that just looks awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we're getting the belts pack here soon. That is, it looks like Carver Custom says that's his torches on a Noah Pratt base. So
okay.
I know we're getting the new belts pack soon, but I like when people use the old belts in interesting ways to make them look better, look cooler than just a simple strap. So the interlacing of them here, and then holding that mace upside down like that is really cool. Yeah.
Yes, very cool.
Then here's the next one, Jesse.
Okay, so this one from Carlos Gilberto Alvarez in the Cabal. This just jumped out at me because I love the crazy proportions. Just seeing those giant arms on him, it just felt like, like something out of Hellboy or something like that. And I don't know, it just really caught my attention. And then drilling the holes out. And
I'm looking at my shot. What are those? Or are they off something else?
Yep.
Like select.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure those are Decebalus arms. Yeah, on a 1.0 or basically just a Varg with some other stuff attached to it. But I love it. And I love that he didn't choose to like cover both shoulders up with the pauldrons. Like he just went with it. But I just really love this.
It's like Varg is on the Arnold plan.
Yeah.
It's
maybe it's like a Varg mid mutation into something bigger or something like in LXG or something.
It got interrupted somehow.
Yeah.
Yes. Somehow I missed this in the Cabal. I didn't see this. So when you sent me your picture and I pulled this up, the vibe that I got from immediately was your green fuzz monk, like the hulked out fuzz monk, to where he's got those big, giant, beefy arms. And this, obviously, because this is using a 1.0 with the big ogre arms, obviously this would be even bigger than that. But yeah, that's the vibe that I got real quick, and I thought it was really cool. So.
Will those peg in, or is there?
Oh no, he had to have drilled those.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but and this is his first custom, so like,
cool.
So just having fun with it. And then that's one of the things I love about Mythic Legions is just encourages everybody to do their own thing, and people do awesome, crazy stuff like this.
Joe's right. This guy did not skip arm day, man. He was, he does Monday arms, and then Tuesday you go to the gym and you focus on arms, and then and then Wednesday you hit arms, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe a little. He's got some abs going there too during the week.
yeah, and then
like
back
a
to
half
arms.
hour on Wednesday or something. Yeah, it's all arms. It's
Yeah.
like, did you ever see Lady in the Water,
No,
the M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Yeah.
There's one guy that for some reason he only works out. I think it's his right arm, so he's just got this like Goliath right arm and then like a normal left arm. It's ridiculous when you
movie. Take my strong hand. That hand's not strong enough.
that's funny.
Yeah, I love it.
This one is mine,
Oh.
and this is Kevin Dufresne, who is in the chat right now. And Kevin has just been absolutely killing it with the cosmic sculpts lately. Like, we don't have cosmic in hand yet, but that's not stopping Kevin. Like, he is busting out like these weird, crazy, awesome looking aliens right and left. And here were just a couple that I picked out from the ones that he's done recently that are just amazing. So I can't say enough about these, just the way that he does, because I know Kevin kind of stays away from dry brushing. He doesn't really like to dry brush. So most of everything that he does, even if it looks like it has a dry brush effect, I know that it's painstaking, like layering and blending that's creating that look. So just a lot of work that's going into these pieces, and it just comes out looking amazing. So great job, Kevin, killing it as always. And yeah, keep it up.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, he's in that group chat with us, and he's been talking about cosmic, I think, for as long as I've known who Kevin was, and it's exciting to see us getting closer to that day to when he's going to do these, because these are all characters from a crew of a ship that he's putting together. He's given details for when he does these posts. So yeah, I'm really excited for him to get. I think I'm more excited for Kevin to get the Cosmic Legion figures than anything else with Cosmic, just because I'm so ready to see him bust these out completely.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like. I was dealing because Len had sent me some cosmic heads that he hasn't released yet, because he's really waiting to pull the trigger on selling cosmic parts for Wolf King Custom until we get cosmic in hand, because you think you know about the fit and stuff like that, but you really want to get them in hand and make sure that everything looks right.
Sure.
And there's not any kind of weird proportions. I know like the Sphexians have like the curved neck joint and stuff, so you want to make sure that things fit right. But so he sent me some test heads to look at and work on. And immediately I told him, I was like, man, you probably need to send a box to Kevin, because like he's just been nailing this stuff. So I just saw that Kevin got a box earlier this week, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with, because like I said, these are just killer. So
Yeah.
And then the last one was from Jesse, but I added another one. So you want to talk about the one on the left there, Jesse?
Yeah, so I saw this again in the Cabal, Mark Humphrey. Again, the colors just instantly grabbed my attention. Just that bright red soft goods mixed with the blue parts, with the Artemis head with the extra sculpting on the hair. That I'm not sure. I'm assuming he did it. I don't remember seeing any other way about that, but pretty sure that I don't remember where that torso is from. I feel like that's Planetary Dogs, but I could be wrong. If someone knows, Mark's in the chat, you can correct us where that torso came from. But yeah, just the colors on this absolutely blew me away. I don't think there's enough Shadow Elves currently in the line, like character-wise. So seeing that just really captured my attention. So yeah, great job on that, Mark.
Yeah, and then after you sent me this picture, I saw a post come into the Cabal, and he had posted his Shadow Elf King, and I'm like, well, we can't show the Queen without the King, so I threw that one in here as well. And just another awesome looking figure. And then I do have a shot that he posted with the two of them together, and it's just
nice.
that's just a nice combo.
Yeah,
with those. So yeah, really came out awesome.
I mean, if that's not an epic, dark power couple, I don't know who is. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. So very cool. And that is shelf selections for the week.
Very cool. All right, looks like we had a bunch of new folks join the chat while we were doing that. So welcome to all of you. I know I'm not going to get everybody in there, but thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. I said it, so it's all right. You
Yep.
don't have to drink.
So Big Dub, what's going on? You've got what? Sorry, first question out of the gate, and I'm tripping over it. Sorry.
No worries.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Big Dub, because I know I personally was introduced to you when you were on Jeremy's show on Mythic Conversations.
Yep.
But then I found out about your YouTube, and man, you've got just a ton of content out there, and it looks like you do a lot of stuff with your family. And just kind of tell us how you got into this.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got the YouTube side and you've got the collecting side in general. So, broadly, I think I'm like a lot. I don't know. I hear there's two different type of people. There's people that have started collecting what I would call relatively recently, which is last 5-6 years, especially the COVID boom of collecting. Really brought a lot of new folks in. That's just the truth. But I have collected my whole life. Even as a kid. So Ninja Turtles is, I'm an 80s kid, and Ninja Turtles was my jam. And I would try to either convince my parents I needed 2 of something or mow lawns or whatever. We certainly didn't have a lot of money, but I would want one to open and one to rock and one to stock as a 11-year-old. I don't know where in the world I got that. Other than I observed, and I did a series years ago on my channel where I interviewed like my mom and my dad and like different members of my family about like, do they think it's weird that I collect? Because that's certainly, and when it was like 2017, I think, when I was doing that series. So it was a lot even weirder. Like we were closer to 40-year virgin than further at that point.
Yeah.
That movie being released. And, you think about, you watch that movie now and you're like, oh, he's got Hot Toys and Detolfs. Oh no. Like that's what they are displaying in that, And so anyway, and I think about my mom, and she collects cows. Why? I don't know, but there's cow stuff all over the house, and there's certain types of dishes that she collects that are never, we all probably have someone that we know that those dishes are just for display. We don't ever use those, right?
Yeah.
Same thing that we all do. It's the same thing. So I observed it, I think, at a young age. But anyway, fast forward, I had my Ninja Turtles. I had a complete collection by the time I was in my 20s, late 20s. Mock and loose, including like an AFA graded 85 scratch that, now incredibly expensive, but even then was expensive, full run. And I was a teacher and a coach, and, I didn't, that's just, it was hard. I wasn't making very much money. That's not a career that, you get to do a lot. And I made the decision that I wanted to go to graduate school, change careers, all this stuff. So I sold my entire childhood collection, which was hard to pay for graduate school.
Yeah.
And then my promise to myself was, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to business school, ABCD, and then I'll build back a collection that's better than what I ever had. But I won't go back. I won't go back and get those vintage figures again, because I can't go back and get the ones that were mine. Like I can't, there's no way to do that. And I kind of need, like an origin story. I kind of need that to be a fixed point that happened. To help me grow as an individual. So that's what I've done. And, now it's been some years since that. But then kind of related, I work in business consulting, and so I have several national customers, and we do a lot of process improvement things for them and so forth. And before the pandemic, I traveled a lot, like 2018, 210 nights in a Marriott hotel in that calendar. A lot, all over the country. And so it was in the beginning of 2017 that I was doing this pretty hard. And I'm like, I get to go to all these cool toy stores, like the best stores everywhere. I've been to Frank and Son. I've been to Funko's headquarters. Yeah, I've been to all these places just with work. Like I don't have to pay. It's 5 minutes away. And so I started vlogging it, and I called it Dub Life. And because it was, I'm on an expense account, so I get to stay in a nice hotel. I get to eat a nice steak, and I get to go to the toy store. And it's like, I want to kind of document this so that I can remember this stuff. And then as the years have progressed, and engaged and we have our daughter and all that. It evolved into what we do now as a family. I don't have to travel much anymore, which is wonderful. So I've been doing YouTube for quite a while, but never from the perspective of I need views or clicks or growth. I don't care. I'm making home videos for us to enjoy, for my family and friends to enjoy. We're silly. Sometimes it's just like the video that came out today. We were at Joe Fest. It's a convention video. Sometimes it's just us doing nothing action figure related at all. Just whatever we're doing. So it's a home video type of thing. But collecting certainly core to all of us. Like I guess I can a little bit. So like here, it's kind of central. It's got a lot of 6 scale, but like if we go over here, you got Legions and arcades and stuff. But if I just turn to the other half of the room, it's family collection stuff. It's anime.
Oh wow.
Sailor Moon. So we all collect. All 3 of us collect. And it's all kind of captured. I mean, there's overflow in other rooms, but in this kind of central collecting room where we can all enjoy, all of it. And even like the Legion stuff, like the girls and I, we did our first customizing. We were posting that in the Cabal, we did our own thing. So it's very family focused. And honestly, the audience first and foremost is us. And if everybody else enjoys it, great. That's great.
That's awesome. So would you say that you made good on that promise to your pre-graduate school self and have built up that collection fairly well?
Yes. I mean, in late 2020, I actually had a big fire sale because it had gotten excessive. So I was to the point where I was just kind of buying everything. And, the time I was single, had a pretty good job, had a lot of discretionary money. And so I was like, you know what? And I struggle with being a completist. It's the worst thing as a collector when you struggle with being a completist. And I collected Hot Toys. I'm like, I think I can get all of them. I think I can get every one. And at that point, I was missing like 30. They were through like MMS 300, and there was like 30. And I'm looking at the wall, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money sitting on the wall. And at that point, the prices of those things had gone astronomical. I mean, I sold a Iron Man Mark V for like $3,000.
Oh wow!
And they announced the re-release like 6 weeks after I sold it, and then it was $300. And so I did a refresh, and now it's just Mythic Legions, GI Joe, and then like live action stuff that I like or that the family likes that we watch together, and not a lot else. And Ninja Turtles, lots of NECA and Super 7. And when I made that kind of refresh, none of those lines were quite as excessive as they are today. But now suddenly NECA Turtles and GI Joe and even Legions, right? We had the lull where there wasn't a lot of Legions for a period of time because of the slowdown. And now it's like, oh man, I've got too much again.
Yeah.
Never enough space. But yeah, I think I have. I still feel that pull every time I see vintage Turtles. But I right now, I feel like it's important to leave that in the past.
Did you see my buddy sent me a video the other day of someone who bought bid on a storage unit recently, and he had moved from I think California to the Midwest somewhere, and it was a storage, and it wasn't a complete collection, but it was a lot of Turtles stuff that had never been opened from the 90s. He had some mock cards that weren't even punched, a bunch of like the vehicles and play sets that had never been opened, like weird random stuff like the cookie jar, like the plastic cookie tub. He had the Leo one and some other random like knockoff stuff that weren't like official. It was just impressive. I can't remember how much he said it was, but I was like, wow, that's crazy.
That stuff is, I mean, I was able to pay for all my graduate loans with that sale. All of
That's
it.
Amazing.
And that's 10 years, over 10 years ago now. It's like 13 years ago. I can't imagine. I don't even want to sit there and figure out what it was.
I sold off all my He-Man figures before I was through high school because my stepdad wanted me to pay for college with it. And I think I sold it all for $50.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't even get me a textbook.
Yeah, see, my thing growing up, like other than birthdays or Christmas, we really didn't get too many opportunities to buy toys throughout the year. So if I wanted new toys, a lot of times I had to sell my old toys in order to fund me buying new toys. So it was just like a constant cycle. Like, okay, I'm interested in superpowers now, but to get them, I got to sell my Masters of the Universe collection, or so on and so forth. So it was just a constant cycling of going through that stuff.
So you've been in that adult cycle phase your whole life, then, because I only reached that later in life. Now, I mean, there was a lot of try to trade on the playground or trick people that, you need to give me that turtle, I'll give you this muscle man, the little muscle man guy, something like that.
Yeah. No, painting the fence is really fun. I know, I swear. Yeah, you'll really enjoy this.
Some of those muscle men, I mean, they're not paying for grad school, but like some of those, I started looking for some during quarantine because I was like, man, I can't find mine. I had a deal on like just a giant bag a couple years ago. I think the guy wanted like $30 for it, and I should have I just didn't have it on me at the time, so I missed out on it. And it was like a huge, like gallon Ziploc bag, and I think I have 3 now.
They did like an anniversary set, a Kenny Kuman anniversary set like years ago, and it's like the whole collection. And I think it's like something like $400 or something. And I've thought about pulling the trigger on that so many times, but it's like, what am I really gonna do with that? I don't think it's gonna be as great as I remember it being as a kid. So yeah.
Battle Beast are like that too. I know Walter was into Battle Beast at one point in his life, and that's, you would have never thought. But I don't know what if it was in the 80s currently. I don't know what toy line isn't of some value, recently. I think you get into Power of the Force, some of the 90s Star Wars stuff that was so overproduced, and Toy Biz, Marvel, X-Men. But I mean, that stuff's going up in value now too. So I don't know where all the money's coming from that's buying this, because I spend way too much on action figures. I am aware that I do. And, but I also know that like I see people buying things that are just like, wow. I mean, wow, how much money is being spent on a thermos or on a thing like that. So
I've got like a little collection of vintage stuff in the garage on stuff that kind of, hits me in the nostalgia. And I keep it out there. And then if I'm out going somewhere or I'm at work or whatever, I come home and I pull into the garage. It's like I go through a time portal, because as soon as I go in the garage and I see all this stuff from my youth, it's like, okay, you're back in your happy place and you can enjoy being at home and this and that. And then I come inside and that's where I've got kind of my newer stuff that I'm collecting. So
I spend lots of time at conventions looking at the retro stuff, knowing I almost certainly won't buy it, but just, remember, especially when you find some of those, like you said, the random cookie boxes and the things that you get, and you're like, oh, I did have this, huh?
Yeah.
You truly don't remember it exists until you see it. I think a lot of value in just seeing it. And then you go, wait, $150. Well, I don't remember it. That's why.
I don't remember it that bad.
Leave it there.
So you talked about your family collecting along with you. Is that something that your wife was doing before you guys met, or did she kind of pick up your habit as you guys went along?
I would probably say both. So she certainly is. I mean, they're both big anime fans. I think I have helped empower that it is okay to collect. Mm-hmm. I think probably in past relationships and such, maybe it was not accepted, or just didn't have space. That's a big factor. Like, do you have space, or do you it's out there? But so I think Natalie's collection has certainly grown quite a bit. But she still has her original like Nintendo 64 and the games that she had growing up, and like recently. We were at the beginning of the year, we had gotten to the point where we had a storage unit. I'm like, no, I can't, like, what am I doing? And so we worked hard to get stuff out of there. And I mean, I was just going through stuff going, when did I buy this? Why did I buy it? But then she's like, well, we can just get rid of that. I'm like, no, you've kept it for all these years. Like, we don't have to get rid of that. Like, that's, we'll find a place to display it proudly. So I think, and for Kai, for our daughter, I think just allowing, empowering it. We were just at on Father's Day, we went to a show and she met one of the voice actors that she likes. And it struck me that the lady was very kind to her, very sweet, and said, I can't believe your parents take you to a convention. Like, my parents would never, ever, ever. take me to a convention. And I was thinking, I'm like, oh, this is like the 8th one we've been to this year.
Yeah.
Well, a good part of that is me, like things I want to go to, but it's also things that they want to go to too. So I think probably it was in them, maybe kind of dormant, and then allowed to be whoever you want to be, right? Do whatever you want to do.
That's cool. I need to bring this up from Trevor because this is kind of talk about what you were saying. He said he got traded out of a blue snaggletooth for a snow speeder, which, yeah, that's a rough one because that thing is expensive. So,
it's different worlds, video game world, but there's a show on YouTube called My Retro Life, I think it's called. But it's a guy that his dad was all of us 30 years ago, videotaping every new game they got. Here's Sonic the Hedgehog, here's the new Super Nintendo. And I think his dad has since passed of cancer, and he started going through these home videos and digitizing them as a way to kind of deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And I watched that, and it's amazing, the footage that he has. Christmas Day opening up Super Mario Brothers 3, real footage of him. And I think about what Trevor just said. What if we had documented things of all the bad playground trades gone wrong? That would be 1 million views for somebody out there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So you had said for your job, you were traveling a lot more than you are now. Do you find yourself not making it to as many different toy stores and things as you did when you were traveling, or are you making an effort, especially with doing this with your family, to still try to get out to a lot of these different places?
Not as much as I was, but so this year Natalie and I will be in PowerCon in a couple months. We are hopefully all going to LegionsCon. So we'll take those road trips. And on those we'll drive typically so that we can. We're actually visiting a friend in New Jersey coming up this next weekend, and we'll drive. That way we can kind of detour and see what's along the way and so forth. We go, but we between my pups you want to say hi, buddy?
Oh, hello.
But between, like, we can day trip anywhere kind of in Alabama, Tennessee, all the way down to Orlando or South Carolina, North Carolina. So we do a lot. If a convention is within like 3 or 4 hours and there's something we want to go see, usually it needs to be somebody that they want to meet, like a voice actor or something. Then we'll do it. We'll day trip, maybe see what's in the surrounding area. We have a lot in Atlanta, though. We have a lot of stuff here. So it's not as much as it once was. But again, I mean, I'll probably end up at 10 conventions this year, and then whatever surrounding toy stores, and such. And it's probably good because it's very difficult for me to go to that stuff, especially if it's a trip and not spend money I probably shouldn't spend.
Right.
Like, I'm not great at sticking to the budget because I go, well, I mean, that budget was kind of arbitrary, right? I can do that a couple hundred. It's not hard and fast.
Yeah. I'm not bad at spending money. I'm just terrible at budgeting. Whoever made this budget was an idiot. Oh, it was me.
Yeah. He clearly didn't know I was going to come across this.
Right.
Yeah. Past Big Dub did not know what current Big Dub was going to need to buy.
Past Big Dub has great intentions. He's not going to pre-order anything else. He's going to stop putting money down on stuff that isn't going to come in for a year. He says all those things.
Yeah.
And then Comic-Con week, and $2,000 later, you're like, what? Oh, what happened?
It's nice to hear other people say that out loud, that it's not just that's not just my own internal monologue.
No, it's I actually did a series that was very popular this year. So I do a show on Monday morning at 6 a.m. that is the talking out loud about stuff that we all definitely 6 points that we all know is going on but don't want to say, like the things that you struggle with as a collector. And so I did a 10 episodes on is collecting bad, and then I did 10 episodes on is collecting good. So I looked at the same issue and spun it. That got a surprising amount of positive traction and new viewers. Usually for me, little talking head type videos don't do great. Not that I care, but they don't do great. People want to go see, like, you're at a convention or whatever.
Right.
But I think it helps because you got to hear someone, that is surrounded by all this kind of stuff, say, hey, maybe I need to really cut back a little bit, or maybe I need to enjoy my things more. One of the things I've tried to do better this year is not be in such a hurry. Oh, I got this in. Cool. Let me open it. Let me get it on the shelf. What's next?
Yeah.
We get these really cool things and we stick them on our shelf and we don't touch them again sometimes for maybe ever, really, if we're honest with ourselves. So that's why, I've done 3 custom Legions. I built my first Gundam this week. I'm trying to do more things that are interacting. I took a picture earlier. I've got a big diorama set up here to take with turtles later, to enjoy it, to play with it more. Honestly, play with the toys more. That's I don't act like they're not toys, and I don't act like I'm not playing with them. That's what we're doing, right? We're all trying to recapture the nostalgia of our youth. The big part of that, I always say that when Jeremy and Joe are together on those Pop and Swap Wednesdays, it's like they are sitting in the floor with their toy box, and it looks like a toy box exploded. That's what they're doing. And why is that not okay to say? Because that's what we're all trying to get back to, that place where we're 8 years old sitting on the floor with our toys.
Yep.
I need to sit on the floor with my toys more. That's what I need to do. I don't need to be a spender. I need to be a player.
Yeah. That's a good philosophy, because I know I've been bad at that in the past, where I'll get, like an all-in from Mythic Legions that'll come in, and I open it all at once, and I pose them and I put them on the shelf, and then I'm done with them unless I go to customize them. And so I've really tried lately, like I've got a pile of toys by my front door, and I only open up 2 to 3 per week. And each one that I open, I try to spend a day that I just enjoy the figure, and then I make sure that I photograph the figure and just kind of, take my time with it. So I think that is important for sure. Because other than that, I mean, typically the only other time that I'm going to mess with these toys is when I go to dust them off, So yeah. And I do enjoy, like, even though dusting is not like the most fun thing to do, I do enjoy that when I go to dust my figures, because it's like I get to spend some time with them again. So
yeah, I always like, for me, I'm trying to be more intentional of that too. With Mythic Legions, it's been a lot easier to spend time with them before I just put them up on the shelf.
Yeah.
Checking some pop and swaps. Oh, what does this look like on this one? Or, just working them into the shelves, because none of them, they're not just rigid. Like I try to work them into a story, into a scene, as I have my factions and everything. But I tend to rearrange stuff from time to time. And that's always another fun time. It's like, oh, I get to pull this guy down, because yesterday I moved my GI Joes and my He-Man stuff to put my figure Obscura shelf together. And so it was fun just getting to go through all those things again. And
I think I'm on about it every 6 months, not intentional of, all right, it's time to rearrange stuff, try to move furniture. Or I don't know why that is, but that seems to be, because the Legions that are all here were in a completely different place 3 months ago. And there was really not I just kind of switched where they and the NECA Turtles were. It didn't really accomplish anything. It was just, I don't know. I just wanted to do it, I guess.
Yeah. And I saw that comment that you just put up there, the frequently play with my Legions. I'm on the floor right now. That is an important part of it. And I love, the swappability of Mythic Legions and how we can, mix and match all these parts and stuff. Make sure that you make time to just look at the figure as is and enjoy it, though, because like I saw some people, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit. Like these people that got these Monkey Kings in and immediately started to throw together like whatever custom that they could put together and throw it out there. And I get that they're trying, everybody's trying to be first and whatever, but the figure is just so amazing. Like take 5 minutes, take a day, take, whatever.
It's the best thing they've ever done.
Just appreciate and look at it, because it's a work of art, man. That thing that they put together is so damn good. Sometimes you just got to take a step back, smell the roses and enjoy it before you go taking it all apart. I see Walter just joined us. Hey, Walt.
Hey, Walt. I had that. I opened it earlier today. And again, so Natalie collects, but I don't know that she appreciates the same things that we would appreciate, right? But she picked it up and was like, "This is amazing!" Like the detail of the armor, and I think she certainly commented about things before that I think is just kind of being a good partner. But this one, I could tell that she really was like, "Wow, this is." I mean, it is incredible. I mean, I am anxious because you can build two. So Sun Wukong. I'm a big Dragon Ball. We watch Dragon Ball. So I'm gonna use it to make a grade 8 Goku custom. Just the alternate, like the things I'm not using,
the extra pieces.
I'm not using, the feet I'm not using. I don't know what base I'm gonna use. I have to look through my father.
I'm not going to tell anybody how to play with their monkey, but I'm just saying, take a second to enjoy it, because it really is a work of art. Like I wouldn't say it's my favorite figure that they've done, because I have a personal attachment to other ones more, but I think it's the best one they've done.
That's what I mean.
Artistically, I think it's the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah. It makes me very excited for Poxus, for Cosmic, for the other things that have a lot of new parts coming. Just to see what is really going to be unveiled here. Because it's remarkable how good that thing is.
And I just learned yesterday, I think, from Anthony Houseal, the gold ends of the staff slide off.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Because I think it was Anthony that put a lightsaber blade in the hilt. So he's using like the base of one of the gold ends of the staff, and he gave him a lightsaber. I think it was in the Cosmic Cabal.
I did see a pose that Anthony did where he actually had the Monkey King up in the air balancing on his tail. Like he curled the tail around and had him up in the air with his feet like together, like a yoga pose or something. And
without a stand.
Without a stand. Just the tail itself was holding it up. Wow. And now he did have he was holding the staff next to it, so I think that kind of balanced it a little bit too. But it was basically just the staff and the tail was holding it up.
That tail is really easy to maneuver too. It's not like it's really rigid that you can't bend. I mean, that's right. That's remarkable.
Yeah, so it's got flexibility, but still can hold it. That's cool.
I have mine on one leg and the tail. Like it's got one leg's down, and it's got the tail coiled underneath it as well. So yeah, I didn't think to try the just coiling on the tail, but yeah, it's such a beautiful figure. And I was just assuming that because so many people you were able to get two, that the people that are taking it apart immediately, in my mind, they got two. So
I hope so, but I know that's not always the case. But like Trevor says here, check your monkey before you wreck your monkey. That is it's a good philosophy. So.
Yeah, that figure was pretty accessible. I mean, I think the second drop stayed live for almost a day.
It was. I mean, it was sold out by the end of that first day. I don't think it made it the next morning, did it?
It was not. I know it wasn't minutes,
but it was definitely up for a few hours.
Yeah, the second drop made it through to what, Monday morning?
Yeah, I thought it went for a while. The second drop, I think it hung.
Did it? I didn't think that
either way, it was accessible
more than a day, but
yeah, you could have got it.
It was either it was sometime Sunday or sometime Monday, early Monday, but I know it was more than it lasted beyond like the Saturday night when the second one went live.
Yeah, I didn't think it made it 24 hours though, but because I know Father Christmas did. That one made it into like the next couple days after that, but I thought Monkey King was sold out within 24 hours, but
I think this figure is a great talking point of so much of collecting, not for me, but for many people, is hype cycle. And I think so many people were excited for what they thought the new Figura Obscura was going to be, whatever you thought it was going to be, Easter Bunny, fill in the blank with whatever you thought it was going to be.
Mummy, Viking, everything else. Yeah.
And then it was none of those things. And people were like, oh, I don't know what that is, or I'm not into that, or whatever, and didn't actually look at what the figure was. And if it would have just been a regular drop, hey, we're releasing a cool monkey figure, it would sell out instantly.
Yeah.
Because you would look at it and go, yeah, I want that. But because there was a disappointment from the hype building of, fill in the blank, I think a lot of people now are going to miss out on what is just a really, really fun thing that could fit in about any collection. Like that figure can just plug and play in almost anything you do.
I think part of it too is just and it still surprises me as being a Legions collector, and we're very ingrained in this community, and we're in the cabal, and we see all these other people that like this line like us. We fail to realize that there's a lot of people out there that have no idea about Legions, like they have no clue. And if you're not tied into this community and those Figure Obscura drops happen, and it's like, hey, we're going to sell this thing tomorrow, and we know, and we're ready to hit the button. But if you're not tied into this community, you don't really know. So, kind of like with Headless Horsemen, I saw a lot of like YouTubers and toy collectors that did not know that it was happening. And they were like, man, we missed out on this thing and it looks amazing. But then luckily they do the retail version. And then, people have an opportunity to get in on that. So I would say that from the excitement on this figure and everything that they've done with the other Figure Obscura, I would say it's pretty safe to say that they're probably going to do a retail version of this at some point. So
I don't know. I mean, just from the business side, I mean, of course they want to repaint it and reuse it, right? And get out of your tooling. So I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, and I'll purchase it.
Yeah, I will too. And it, it does have great parts. So I get the people that look at this and they're like, oh, I can use this for this, that, and the other. But yeah, it's just together the way it is so good. And there's so many different options too. Like do I want to have the feet? Do I want to shoes or have the bare feet? Do I want to do the open mouth or closed mouth? Do I want to do this head or that head? It's like,
well, if he's on a table, so at the recent shows I've seen the Horsemen at, they've had some Headless Horsemen and various other FOs. I will definitely pick up a couple, on a table, no shipping, type of price.
I will say this. I know I got mine fairly early on in the shipping cycle. And I did a live open of it the day I got it in the Cabal, and a Corn Boy was in there, and I said something about wish I had gotten another one, and hoping to pick it up at a show, and he definitely confirmed on there that they would. He didn't say which shows, but he said there would be a chance to get it again at a convention that they're at. So
that's good.
Yeah. It's in the past, like I've given figures out to people to try to show them like how good the line is. And usually I try to give them something that's very swappable, like the old Barbarian Builder or like one of the Furious 4 to where they're, it's just got a lot of different parts to it. I think this would be my new figure. Like if I wanted to show somebody what Four Horsemen are all about, and like take a look at the quality of these guys make in terms of toys, and nothing about them. Here, I think I would hand them a Figure Obscura Monkey King and just say, just look at this, just take this apart and look at it, because it really is a masterpiece. So,
totally agree.
I agree. Yep.
So you had mentioned about coming to LegionsCon this year. Now, is that going to be your first LegionsCon that you've gone to?
It is. Yes. Yeah. We're all hopefully all coming, and coming to intern and the whole deal.
Oh yeah. Awesome. You guys got the intern lottery?
Yep. We're doing the whole
very
weekend.
Nice.
So our daughter made the varsity color guard team.
Mm-hmm.
She performs at Friday night football games. And that Friday is into the playoffs, and her school is the defending state champion. So she may or may not be able to join us, but we are definitely, Natalie and I are going to come. We've already made arrangements in the event. So hopefully we can all come. That's so far in the future, but yes, it will be our first time. We're doing the whole deal. We're going to drive up Wednesday, and we're not going to go back to Monday. So we're just going to do the whole experience.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse and I have both been to that intern experience, and you're going to have a blast. It is so cool. And like everybody there is just amazing. Like there's not one jerk that works at Four Horsemen Studios. Like it's just all amazing people. And just the amount of insight that you gain to how their operation runs is just amazing. It's incredible. So,
and I mean, we went to Toylanta last year. There were a number of customizers there, and if you know the story of why they're all there, I know that may be a touchy subject for some, but they were all there.
There's nothing off limits on this show.
Yeah, well, that was when they announced Savage Crucible, and he
Right.
was all there. So like Nikki was there, and Eric was there. I mean, Crashbox Custom. I mean, it was 2 big rooms. And so then when I saw some of my friends that went to LegionsCon last year, I'm like, oh, that's like what we saw at Toylanta, just jacked up even more, like with all kinds of amazing things to look at. And that last year, and Toylanta is a big toy show, and it's my hometown show, and all my buddies come to that. And we just kept going back in those rooms and just staring at. I mean, that video has to be me walking back and going, I wonder if Eric Miller will sell me these Ninja Turtle customs. I really hope I can get him to sell me these. And we eventually got Nick Dubes to sell me like a lot of his Motu customs, and he had never sold before. But Eric would not. I did buy a Skeletor from Eric, but he would not budge on the turtles. But I just can't wait to see everybody's work. And I have a new appreciation because I'm trying to learn to do it myself. So I am really, really excited. I think we all are. And they were so good. Jeremy and Joe, Cornboy, and those guys at Toylanta, they spent time with my family. And I think Joe spent an hour talking to our daughter about how he painted the red cosmic figure that was in Wave 3 that he had painted, and just the process and what it's like being in the industry and such. And I just was really appreciative of that. So I'm excited to bring the family. I think it's going to be great.
Trevor says to keep working on Eric. He broke a meal, and Trevor did break a meal. Emil was like, I'm not selling anything. This is just for display purposes. And Trevor kept pushing him. And then now the floodgates are open, and Emil's selling everything. I think he sold one of his children already before LegionsCon. So the saving grace with Emil sells are, he has so many that are kind of teams or groups, and I'm like, oh, I can't buy one without buying like 7. Yeah,
I don't need to buy 7. I don't know. I don't need to do that. So I have not bought one yet, but I have been heavily tempted. I mean, he just keeps putting new ones up right now too.
I tell you what, the thing that is super impressive about LegionsCon is just the amount of crazy artwork that you're going to see, like from photographers, diorama makers, painters, sculptors, like and it's all around this line. And the amount of just inspiration and artwork that's come out of this toy line is really amazing. It is like, kind of walking through half art museum, half, like a sale, because, people are selling stuff, but at the same time, like, you just want to see their work. So
we spend a lot of time at conventions, probably to the chagrin of my viewers, in the art areas and in the, I say crafts, but in the people that make things, right?
Yeah.
And I enjoy all things nerd, hobby, and people that are expressing their love for whatever the product is through whatever they do. And so but you don't see that very much with action figures. Like, we're starting to see dioramas show up at some of our local toy shows, but there's not a lot of customs. There's not Scott, who was painted the magma troll that was at HeroesCon. He's in our area, and he has a lot of cool paint stuff. He's done a lot of like helmets and things, but it's very small. It's not emerged yet like it has in like anime and some other areas. So I'm excited to go to a show that has the other side of this hobby, which is the creative and tangible side, and not just here's what the studio makes and all of our shelves look the same. Like, we all have all of it and it all looks the same. Like, now you get to see something really different. I'm truly excited to kind of just experience that, take it all in. I think the first few hours, I'm just going to walk around and just look, wallet in the hotel room, just walk around and take it all in.
Good luck with that plan.
Unless
yeah. It's hard because you get stuck at a table or two, and then you get distracted, and there's just so much. It's like overload, man. It's just, there's so much. But it's amazing. I do say about Legions, though, because of the creative aspect of it and the pop and swap ability and the painting and all this kind of stuff, that to me, it's the first toy line that it feels like, usually a toy line, like if I buy a toy, it comes in, I see it in the package, I open the package, and when I open the package, that's where the fun kind of stops. With Mythic Legion, when you open the package, that's where the fun begins. Like, it's like once you get it out of it, it's like, okay, now what can I do with this thing? Like, well, how do I want to pose it? What armor do I want to put on it? Do I want to pop and swap some parts? Do I want to paint something? So yeah.
Walter, I can just walk around. Walter's used to walking around with me getting in trouble.
Yeah.
That'll probably.
I mean, that's his job, isn't it?
Yeah, he does a pretty good job of that on his own.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jess.
No, go ahead and finish that thought.
I'd say I agree, Curtis. I was the last time I opened a G.I. Joe Classified, which I think that is a tremendous retail line. I think they're doing good work. They're very deep in that line.
They're really hitting their stride lately. Yeah.
So like, I love the bats, but I remember when I opened up the first bat, I'm like, man, I wish some of this stuff was a little more painted. Oh, well, and put it on the shelf. Right. And now, like, I open up Monkey King and I'm playing with it and I'm like, all right, I could probably do something with this head over on this figure. And it dawned on me today, I'm like, why don't I paint that stuff on the bats that I wish looked different? It never connected with the other toy lines. And maybe that's because the studio themselves encourage it and the group encourages it. I'm sure somewhere out there's people that go crazy with customizing G.I. Joe Classified or whatever.
Oh yeah,
the Legends, but I don't see it. It's not. I guess I'd have to seek it out versus it being in the mainstream group of the hobby, which is
sure.
Yeah, it's impressive just the fact that the studio does encourage all of that stuff within the community, like even from the sculptors and stuff. Like, there's a lot of properties that I would think that they would go, hey, don't go messing with our stuff. Don't, do this and that. But like the Horsemen encourage that stuff. They love making it that way. And they will even, pop in the Cabal. Like I'll see Cornboy go in there and like on, photos and say that he, enjoys it or he thinks it's cool or whatever. Like you don't get that from other toy lines, that you have the creators coming in there and saying, hey, we made this great figure, but you made it even cooler, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Well, since we're talking about LegionsCon, I wanted to bring this up because let's see, Cream City Figs asked the question, where and when is LegionsCon? So it is in New Jersey. If you go to legionscon.com, which is this page right here, it's Saturday, November 11th and 12th at the Hanover Marriott in Whippany, New Jersey. The hotel that the event is at is sold out. I think there are some other hotels nearby. I don't know if they have the same deals. $40 for both days. And there are exclusive figures each day. There's a different figure each day. So far they've announced the Vorgus 2, which I don't know if they have the picture yet, but
I think they've got it on the Figure Obscura page, but I don't think they have it on this page.
Oh, show figure. Here we go. Show figures. There we go. So Vorgus 2 is the Saturday figure. They have not announced the second figure yet, or figures. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but these will be available at the show. And as always, they do have they usually have a post-show event through the Legion shop with some of the figures left over. And then they do like a standardized version that doesn't come with the special alternate piece. So yeah, that's where that's happening. Tickets you can get right here on, where'd it go? LegionsCon.com.
And we should
I would get it. They still have.
I was just going to say, we should note too that there's G-Con event, which is kind of attached to LegionsCon. It's the day before. So that Friday, they will do the G-Con event, which is kind of a live reveal special of their next big wave, which we don't know. In the past couple of years, it's been like 2 factions. We're not sure what this one's going to be yet. But just be ready that on that Friday on their YouTube channel, the Four Horsemen YouTube channel, they'll have that reveal special, which is really fun as well. So that kind of makes up that weekend. And then if you were lucky enough to get pulled for intern, that's on the Thursday before. So it's kind of this long. Mythic weekend has become kind of Mythic week. So you can definitely be there for a Saturday and Sunday. If you want to tune in live on the YouTube on Friday, that's available. And if this year it's closed for intern, but if you didn't get in this year, strongly suggest putting in for next year because it is a really fun time.
I need Walter to get me on that stage for G-Con. Just a little cameo.
There you go.
I'll bring snacks.
I mean, hey, I was surprised they asked me to be on it last year. So that it was like, I just got a tap on my shoulder and I turned around and then Cornboy's like, hey, we're going to have you go up with Jeremy DeWitt for a reveal. I was like, why? I mean, me? Okay. So yeah, I was, that was really cool. So yeah, you never know.
That would be fun. I'm very much looking forward to. I'm trying to think. I haven't been to a really focused show like that, maybe ever, like a truly singularly focused.
I don't know that there's too many of them that really happen. I know there's JoeCon, and then PowerCon used to be all He-Man. Now it's kind of going into some other stuff, but it's still He-Man. There's a heavy He-Man presence in PowerCon still.
I mean, we were at Joe Fest 2 weeks ago. That's here. And I mean, it's certainly dominated by G.I. Joe, but there's plenty of other stuff. And they had Animal Wars, The Kingdom was there, Sparrow was there. Valaverse is there massively. It's kind of, he calls it Valicon. I mean,
I saw that.
There's some
people irritated by that. Yeah,
I'm sure. People get irritated by him.
What, toy collectors got irritated? No.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, that vehicle that he put out that's going to be $175. That thing is awesome, and that's.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so he showed basically his HasLab, right? His big holds 12 characters tank, and he announced it to be 175 to 190, and he announced he's lowering his prices.
Oh wow.
Which felt like I'm just going to take a shot at all the toy companies live at this thing. He came marching out of that panel like, I mean, he was the one. But I think Jeremy addressed it actually on his Wednesday video. Not that necessarily, but he said, as the line has got more popular, we are able to put more stuff and keep the price the same. Which is the same thing, right?
Right.
If I'm a business guy, so I'm fascinated by the business. So if their cost per unit is going down because it's easier for them to hit their MOQs, then they can put more hands and these soft goods and all that, and they don't have to change the price. Or you can do what another company's doing and just keep it the same but lower the price. It's the same ultimately,
right?
And so I appreciate actually both of those companies as opposed to some of the others, that are public. That makes it different, where you've got to listen to shareholders and so forth. But that's Jeremy did say that Wednesday, and I had not considered that, but because you think about some of the like the Dubon figure, and then you compare it to just whatever other like an actual one of the All-Stars, and you're like, this is the same price, and has been the same price for a while, and this comes with a heck of a lot more stuff.
Yeah,
it's because they've got to that point now where they can give you more for your dollar, which is great.
Yeah, you look at something like the Sir Enoch figure in the All-Stars, and he's got like 4 or 5 different soft good pieces, several different hands, 2 different heads. It's there's just a ton of stuff with that for $37.
And the soft goods that they're putting out are, I mean, look, like a monkey, and you compare it to just the soft goods we were just getting just a little while ago in this same line.
Yep.
And any other line where you're like, oh great, soft goods.
Like early Mythic Legion, it was like, okay, you took a piece of fabric and hole punched 2 holes in it.
Like now, the unknown one that ended up all over the floor at LegionsCon, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Knew that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because my buddy that got me that figure, he gave me that, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? What is this? This looks like scraps. And then you look at what we get now, and you're like, I mean, that's just a year's difference, and is
right.
Something that I feel like I could actually wear somewhere on my body.
Yeah, and just the fact that you take, like you were just saying, the die cut, simple, just piece of thin material to now they're coming with the wired, fully stitched, and like even Dubon, it's like got the full stitching. I mean, it looks like an actual cloak, like in scale,
wire,
as opposed to it's like, which I don't get me wrong, I loved the simple die cut ones because it's like, all right, these are kind of cool because you can put it on or off. and because that was one of my favorite things you were talking about superpowers earlier, Chris, was taking off Superman and Batman's cape. Like that, that little clip, that little C ring that like clipped around. I don't know why, because neither of them ever like had their cape off. But that was just like one of my favorite things about those.
When I was playing, that was when they didn't have their powers. They didn't have a cape, so their powers were gone. Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you exactly, Joe saying that you see the cape is worth $37. Like,
well, I know,
to
like
get soft goods from like Max Bird or Brian Peacock at Heavy Hammer Props, or some of these guys, the folks that do these soft goods strut family, like the soft goods they're selling now, they're a much smaller. They're they're like doing it by hand. A lot of like it's it takes a lot more time than going through a factory, but like they're and I'm not. That's praising. I'm praising both sides of the equation there. At least that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, I know Trevor was talking about the soft goods on Deacon, and that which he called a dressage, which was not a dressage. So, but that it's also quilted. Like, not only is it wired and it's got several different pieces to it, but it's also got like this quilted effect to it, so it looks even more realistic for the size that it is. So just the amount of detail going in these soft goods is amazing.
There's nothing. The only thing I can think of that's putting that type of soft goods is Mezco, and I think a lot of these recent ones are better than even Mezco's soft goods. But you're going to pay $80 if you want soft goods like this.
Well, I mean, you look at like a Sir Enoch, the new Templar on the All Stars, and compare that to a Mezco. I would say it stands up like quality wise for the soft goods and stuff. But you're talking the difference between a $37 figure and an $80 to $100 figure. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that's a good call out too, that the factory can actually, because CJ's putting out, I mean, they're putting out some great stuff. And then for the factory to be able to match that, we were talking with Cameron last week about the paint jobs and the great job the factory does matching the paint jobs that him and Sherry do. But yeah, same thing with the soft goods for sure.
Yeah, when in the Attila and Gorgo 2-pack and their capes don't come on, and then you go look in the Facebook group of all the ways that you're supposed to put that cape on, and even looking at that, I'm like, how did a factory make this? Because I'm looking at this picture going, if I just had to make one and then figure out how to get it on, no, I'm struggling here by myself. They were able to mass produce that thing, which it is remarkable. Because it's not. I mean, I don't know what the prototype looks like, but I mean, these can't be far off.
Yeah,
the prototypes are.
So, what got you into the Mythic Legions line? Like, and when did you get into it?
So my Legions journey is kind of back and forth. So my first figures were Adamon and Keltis.
Okay.
Because again, 80s kid, Motu kid.
Yep.
And I saw those in stock at Big Bad Toy Store, whenever that was, years ago. And I don't even think I equated that they weren't a Skeletor and He-Man. I just like, oh, okay. I don't know what these names mean, but cool. I'll get them. And then I got the Aetherons dozen, because that sat in stock on FourHorsemen forever.
Right.
And I had those because they were cool creatures, and I figured they'd fit as mutants with my thing. But then I didn't really dive into like paying attention to what was going on until Arethyr and Aethon. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. They're now going to make all these horsemen. Like, that's a thing that's about to occur. I had picked up the wave that has the ogre scale, like the orc ogres, Kurzog and Archimedes and whatever wave that was, that Wasteland.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's the first wave I ordered, and then I picked up the Dark Elves, and I've always loved the goblins, so I've had goblins for a while. But getting like deep into it started with Arethyr and Aethon, and again, that's post selling a bunch of stuff. Before that, I was just too deep. Every Marvel Legend, every Black Series, every Hot Toy. And so it wasn't on my radar. I just didn't, again, it didn't get marketed to me specifically. And I think as the studio has grown and they have, I have Jeremy marketing, they have things that get it in front of people's eyeballs now. and honestly, I think probably I saw The Amazing review one, and I mean, I don't know. Every company needs to send him stuff because he sold me more things. I know him. He's just down here. He's a great dude, but man, he makes you want to buy whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You're like, I guess maybe I do need that. The shampoo bottle, $8 Walmart Venom figure. Like, he makes that thing look good. I might need it.
So let me try something a little fun here. And you were talking about kind of doing some business consulting and stuff. And the brands that you mentioned that you were collecting, it sounds like there was some nostalgia ties for you back to remembering those kind of brands as a kid, Marvel, Star Wars, things like that.
It's actually less. That was actually modern. So I wasn't into things as much as a kid.
But you knew of those properties, you knew of those characters. Absolutely. Mythic Legion doesn't have that. And there's still people out there today that have no idea what this line is, what they're supposed to be. There's no comic book, there's no cartoon. Well, there is one comic book, but you know what I'm saying? There's no comic book that's currently out. There's no cartoon. There's no movie. There's no video game that's with this yet. As somebody that would be consulting with the Horsemen, how would you recommend that they drive awareness in the overall toy community for people that don't know what this line is?
I have thought for a while that they should be putting out graphic novels. That, especially when you think about the level of artistic people that are friends of the studio, that are friends of the community, that, you think about the work that Trevor does and the work that Nate does. I mean, there are just incredible artists, and the book that Jeremy talks about and has shown excerpts from, I think will be great, but I think you could truly do graphic novels. Plus, I think you can get into comic book stores pretty easy. Especially if, like, locally, maybe not mass distribution, getting Diamond or something like that to distribute you, but to get into some local stores, your authorized retailers would almost assuredly carry them. Even if they just buy 50 or 100 and have in there. Because I think the story, as we have really been getting more story recently, and then especially in Cosmic, the way that those reveals have come and they all have a pretty good story with them, it makes me want to actually read it and take it in. But I think there will always be that, because I have friends that collect plenty of stuff. I tell them about Mythic Legions. They're like, yeah, but I don't care about that. I'm like, but what you actually do is you sit and you pose and you play with your figure, but they are still entirely drawn to, it's Spider-Man. I've always with Spider-Man. And I think that that is a challenge. It's a bridge, but I think graphic novel, and I don't think it has to be, super dark or adult or anything like that. I think it can be, accessible to families. Because the bridge to get into stuff on screen, I think, is not the path. But I do think either comic or graphic novel, even just digital, even if it doesn't get printed, especially the nature of the way the Horsemen do pre-sales, it could be included, right? You could add a PDF of the next 2 issues for $10 to your all in, and most of us would probably do that, right? Most of us would probably do that and fund getting it taken care of. So that's what I would do, because I just think it's a low risk, low cost venture, because you already have to write the story and the bio and so forth.
I like what you're saying, because to me, when I think of going to my local comic book store, there's a certain type of clientele that are going in there, right? I mean, you've got your people that are just reading comics. You typically have some hobby type stuff associated with it, some D&D, different, miniatures, people painting. And, if you get something like that in there, and then, you get somebody attracted to that graphic novel, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, these guys have figures that are orcs and skeletons, which I already like in this other thing that I do. I think that would be a good tie-in. So yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
And I mean, I don't know how difficult this is, but if you could get a D&D campaign book written that's Mythic Legions focused, I mean, I think that would be a really good tie-in. I don't know how. I have no idea how that licensing stuff works with when you get into that much bigger brands, but I do. I think that's the path. And you think about if there was a comic book or a graphic novel that had Arethyr and Aethon, and you had two covers, you had Nate draw one, and you had Trevor with a figure, and that was just sitting at a comic book store, there would absolutely be the normal comic book buyer that'd be like, "What's that? I'm gonna pick that. Yeah, add it to my pile for $3.99. Sure, I'll check that thing out."
Dude, I tell you what, like you just hit me with something that I think would be awesome. And I know Trevor has been in the chat. I'm not sure if he's still out there, but if we had some shots of like Nate doing artwork and then Trevor recreating that artwork with photography, that would be cool. So yeah, like I could see like alternate covers of this thing where it's like that would be pretty neat. I like that a lot.
And plenty of comics do that. You get the action figure variant.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. And you get especially in the height of the MCU, you get the real variant where it has Robert Downey, on there instead of Tony Stark. But then you have the legend Tony Stark. You have all three. That's precedence in that.
Ooh, look at that. Trevor said Nate and I are already talking about something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah. I think that'd be
Take my money. Here you go.
See, I personally, working in a comic shop, being lifelong, well, 3/4 of my lifelong of my life, a comic fan, I would prefer a graphic novel as opposed to the monthly thing, just because that format is. The variant covers are fun, but working in the store and dealing with that is such a pain in the butt.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Sure. I can't imagine
at this point. It's we're almost getting back to like 90s level, like variant speculator market stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you did a paperback or trade paperback, then or a graphic novel, you could then just include some artwork in there, like the last few pages or whatever, like some different shots and stuff, rather than doing covers.
I mean, I think now that they're getting far enough into the story, and with where'd it go? Six Bunks was saying about how they're not putting out a graphic novel; they're putting out a coffee table style prose book. So it's a actual progressive story with artwork in it. Not necessarily every page. Sometimes it might be a big splash page on one side. Some of it'll be just like little art. I imagine kind of like a D&D manual, how some of it's like a big full page spread. And then you might have like, a shield with a story or, but yeah, they're working on it.
A couple, maybe a month or so now, Mythic Conversations. Jeremy, it was like fireside chat with Jeremy. Like he read from it. And he showed a few of the pages, some that were plain text, some that were really dynamic. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he read that like the meeting of the Covenant of Shadows, and it was spectacular. As a person that loves Gorthok, I absolutely loved it. I was like in heaven listening to that. Plus, as also somebody that does not enjoy reading but enjoys being read too. So,
and Six Bunks, I will also say this. Thanks for clearing. There is a singular comic issue out. If you go into the Mythic Legions Cabal, somewhere in the top things, it's pinned as a PDF.
Yeah, you can go
like in files or documents, or I don't know what it's called on the Cabal, but they have it permanently in there if you want to read it. That comic is not considered canon anymore, because they just kind of did it to get something out. I don't know if that's exactly the words they've used, but it's it was before they had more of the story established, which is why Cosmic is going along so much along that route, because Jeremy said they're establishing the story right from the beginning, and kind of learning from the way they did Mythic Legions to establish that. So
we did talk a little bit last week with Cameron about the miniatures that they showed, and whether that would eventually become kind of a D&D type game, and he said that's definitely something that's on the table, but they don't have active plans on it. But I think that thing would go over like gangbusters. I just think that's a huge untapped like market, to where if especially the people that are already painting these things and are doing kind of custom work with miniatures, if you then offer them something that is the same type of characters but now on a larger scale that you can still paint and customize and have fun with, I don't think everybody would make that transition, but I think there's quite a few that would probably jump in.
Somebody commented a bit ago that it may be a hard sell to the people that buy superheroes, and I don't disagree with that. But I know the comic stores around here are dominated by tabletop gaming, trading cards, D&D, miniatures. The actual superhero portion of the comics are certainly the front counter, but they are not the majority of the store around here. They are. The people that are coming in and spending time in there are doing other things.
Well, I know, Jesse works at a comic shop, and they post like, the employees there like post their like picks of the week and stuff. And several times I'll see them, recommending comics that have nothing to do with superheroes whatsoever. Yeah. They're totally different genres altogether. So yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's the whole thing. I mean, obviously it gets a lot of people in the door to buy Batman and Superman and whatever, but
well, and I mean, you would have to think the guys still have some relationship with Todd McFarlane after all those years. Maybe Image could put it out. I mean, I'm sure he still has plenty of pull over there, but I think I would be interested to know from the business perspective, the tchotchkes that they sell, the pins and the mugs and those other things, right, that are an extra $10, $12. They must do well enough that they continue to have them in a lot of sales. And I just think that you could do this for a period of time with your dedicated fan base and get it made. I have people in my life that I could not hand a Mythic Legions figure to and say, hey, I think you'd like this. But I could hand a graphic novel to and say, hey, you like to read stuff like this. I know you're into Lord of the Rings, or I know you're into World of Warcraft or whatever. Check this out. I think you'll like it. And that could hook them. Whereas a figure, they just won't even look at it. They'll never take the time to. But who am I? I mean,
I know there's different methods of entry. Obviously, like you mentioned, the Motu tributes, and that's something that brings in a lot of folks for sure. That was what drew me in. And then obviously Figure Obscura is now hitting that as well, because there are people that did not collect Legions at all, and then all of a sudden they see a Headless Horseman and they're like, oh man, I've always wanted a Headless Horseman figure, and then they get in and go, oh, these guys make other stuff, so
I would love to see the storyboarding for Figura Obscura, because that has to be part of the conversation as hey, this got eyeballs on us that aren't otherwise on us. But also, we're in this unbelievably unique time over the next 5 years where all these things are entering public domain. So, for instance, I believe they could make a Winnie the Pooh figure and call it Winnie the Pooh right now, because that character is now a public domain figure because it's been 80 years.
I think as long as it doesn't have the red shirt.
Yeah, like they could make
like
a Figura Obscura Pooh Bear, as whatever. And Mickey Mouse enters that in a few. I think there's probably some fascinating storyboards that are like, what if we did do this? I just have to imagine what the iPad looks like for.
I see. We had a comment that Jesse starred here that we'll bring up that relates to that. So, what do you think will be the next in the Figure Obscura line? Now, Trevor, you're not allowed to answer this, but yeah, what are your guys' thoughts?
Well, because it's already got to be in production, right? The way they turn those things around, it's probably already made.
I would imagine. Let's see, we got Monkey King. I would say we're probably going to get at least one, if not two more, by the end of the year.
Yeah. So our time frame has just been Halloween and Christmas. It's been Christmas for 2 years, then Halloween and Christmas, and now Easter time, even though it was unrelated to Easter.
Which they said it's not a holiday, but
yeah, it just kind of has been what it's been. Oh, I feel like we've got to have some sort of Sasquatch situation, like some type of beastie thing coming.
Like a cryptozoology thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Bigfoot, something like that. Especially when you look at Monkey and, you think about if they've been in that world of cooling and, certainly it would be much bigger than that. But what do I want it to be? Monkey changed my thoughts because it did. I think we all kind of thought it would be holiday themed to a point. I'm like, I want a Mythic Legions Easter bunny. That I just want it to be awesome. The Tooth Fairy, like I was in that world for a little while of the most ridiculous things with a Legion's take on it. But now I think I'm closer into thinking about, legendary story, the Three Musketeers, these types of things that are probably available, right, for them to make for something like that. But I do think there's a Sasquatch thing's probably on the horizon, something big like an ogre scale one.
Jesse, any thoughts?
I don't know, because I was surprised. I actually kind of landed the Father Christmas guess last year. Because at first I was with everybody, okay, it's going to be kind of like the Klaus comic series where it was kind of more the barbarian Santa. And then I was like, no, wait. I started thinking about Father Christmas from the Narnia movie. I was like, that feels more like what the Figure Obscura might be, where it's more just like in that vein. I was completely off the boat with Monkey King. Like, from that visual, that was such a good misdirect with the scrolls and everything that everybody was talking about it. I don't think I was one of the people that I was not upset when I saw that it was a Monkey King. It was just completely unexpected based off of what I was forcing myself to think. I have no idea what they're going to do next. I know it's going to be awesome. And I think, I would love to see something like, I know a lot of people have said like a Medusa or something like that. I do think that the Greek and Roman mythology offers a lot of cool stuff they could put out. I think as far as like legendary characters, I think a really cool Robin Hood would be nice.
Yeah.
And someone mentioned earlier the Disney version that was Nathaniel Armstrong did the Disney,
was so good.
Yeah, the Pooh series. Now he's doing the cartoon Robin Hood. He did the 100 Acre Wood with the no, that's the Pooh one. What was the other?
I haven't seen
Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland.
Somebody send me the Pooh one on Instagram. If somebody or tag, I need to see that. I haven't seen that one.
Just look up Nathaniel Armstrong in the Cabal, and you should be able to find his. And he did the Alice in Wonderland stuff as well.
Cream City Fig says a Bigfoot or a Yeti would get them into Legions. So I saw some Jersey Devil. Obviously people have talked about that a lot. JG said Captain Blackbeard. I know that it's not a holiday themed line, but I do think that, especially with the cryptozoology type characters, that Halloween brings about a good time to drop a figure like that. Like I could see like a Chupacabra or something that kind of has like a scary vibe to it being dropped around that Halloween time.
I would bet good money, because it also works for their time framing, right? Right before they're about to do a mega pre-order.
Yeah.
So there's probably nothing sitting in that end of October window. When you think about the way that they have the windows of sales, like they don't want to drop even a 6-figure wave and then 3 weeks later ask us to buy a however large, hopefully the Noble Bear wave is about to be.
Yeah, I think mid to late October is a good time period for what you're saying for a Figure Obscura. And it just, you throw in, maybe you don't necessarily think of Halloween when you think of, some of these cryptozoology characters, but a lot of them have kind of a scary vibe to them. And so, I think, that time period would be a good time to get them. Kevin says Mothman. I could see that.
Probably go look at things that Mulder and Scully were investigating on early season.
Yeah. But that being said, like I would be perfectly fine with any sort of like, whether it's Greek mythology, if we got like a Loki, which I really, that was kind of my guess on this last one, was that we were going to get something kind of Norse mythology. But or like a Robin Hood or a King Arthur or something like that. I would be cool with any of that stuff.
I had an idea. I had a thought.
Yeah.
Because someone was talking about the Chupacabra, and in my mind, Chupacabras are fairly small. Like they're not huge creatures.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it'd be goblin size, but then I was thinking more. I'm like, well, I think a lot of people would be disappointed if it was a goblin scale figure for a Figure Obscura. I love them. I know, Dub, you were saying you like the goblins, but I feel like, and there's the whole goblin group and everything, but I feel like, I was like, what if it was a 2-pack of Gremlins? And I don't mean the movie Gremlins, but like classic messing with your equipment gremlins, like
Oh,
It would be, now are you talking about gremlins as in goblin scale or even smaller? Because we've talked about like we would like them to do like a halfling size or a gnome size that would be even smaller than goblin.
smaller,
Yeah.
shorter.
That would be a
stature,
cool way to introduce that scale into the line.
Mm-hmm.
That
we
would be neat.
We need hobbits, so come on with that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Cream City Fig says, have they done a vampire? Oh, have they done vampires?
Well,
it's not a classic like you would think vampire, but they've got several vampires.
Yeah, the vampire faction is more like more akin to what's his name, Nosferatu.
Vampire shelf there, Nick, right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's a vampire?
If you were watching earlier, that white figure we had in the selection sequence with the big arms, those were vampire parts.
There's 10 factions in Mythic Legion, and they are one of the 10 factions. So there's quite a few of them there. I
would love to have the triple goddess. I think that would be great. I don't know if they could pull that off as a singular figure obscura, at least have three figures in a set. I don't know. It's not that crazy from a rider and a horse, but I would love that.
If they did something like that, I would want like the Clash of the Titans, like the witches that like no eye and they're all sharing the one crystal eye kind of thing. Yeah, I'd want that vibe to it. Like make them all blind and then they're sharing the one crystal.
Oh, yeah, that's the what is that? Is that the Fates?
Yeah, that's what I would want.
Well, and you think about Headless Horseman kind of fits in the vibe of Legions, as does Monkey and Krampus, but Father Christmas does not. Right?
No,
that figure doesn't. So that makes me believe that a thing like Medusa, it's like, yeah, I could see that fits the vibe, but Father Christmas does not fit the vibe. So I don't think that it has to. Like it could be really something.
I don't think that they are concerning themselves. I don't want to speak for them, but I don't think they're concerning themselves with, can this be integrated into a Mythic Legion collection? I think they just want to do a cool figure obscura a character.
Mm-hmm.
If it fits in, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
and they've all been original heads. Like now, Monkey has a lot of new stuff, but a lot of reuse on the bodies, but brand new heads. So I wonder if like the PowerCon. I'm assuming they're going to be at PowerCon, but the tribute figures this year are cosmic instead of mythic. So I wonder if we're going to see a lot more cosmic parts in the next Figura. So is there something in the space realm that could fit into that? I don't know.
Here my take on it is, it seems like the figure obscura for sure, but also with the other stuff, we're just seeing a lot more tooling as new waves come out. It used to be a lot of shared parts and stuff, and I think there's still, like when you have those in between waves, like we got Cosmic Wave 2 and 3, kind of have some shared parts, and you get some of those things. I think they do, but when you have your bigger waves. And even the figure obscura, it seems like they've been trending more towards new tooling. Like, so we started off, we had Krampus first, which, we had the new neck piece on there, new head, and then all the accessories. But the rest of the body and stuff was not anything spectacularly new.
Yeah.
Then we get Headless Horseman, which at the time, because we had Headless Horseman in hand before Valak, or was it right after Valak?
Right after.
Right after. So, it was still a fairly new body, but, most of that's the same. Most of the horse is the same, but just a color repaint. Then you get into Father Christmas, which is like, the soft goods, the head, the accessory, obviously the base body underneath isn't new, but everything else was. And then we get Monkey King, which is completely new. You got the arms and leg, the cloth arms and legs, the upper parts are reuse, but everything else is new. So I just think they're trending more towards new tooling, which is part of kind of what you were saying earlier, Big Dub, that like Jeremy was talking about, like as they're selling more volume, they're able to pay for more tooling. They're able to offer new parts and inject, these new things into the line. So I don't know that they won't reuse parts for a figure Obscura, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more new stuff in whatever we get next. Would kind of be my guess.
Well, and the art on Monkey, on the packaging certainly teases more from that realm, which I think all of us that have looked at that would love. Any of those figures to come out. But I agree. I think, and you, whenever you hear that, I read between the lines and you hear people talking about their jobs. And I always try to remember with all the guys from the studio, they're incredibly kind. They're also at work. So I try not to be, too demanding of it is still their job, so they like to work on the new stuff. Like I think if it was up to them, 1.0s would never win All-Stars anymore because they're tired of, they want to make new stuff. They want to use the newer 2.0 parts. They want to, it's more fun, right? We've made those over and over again, which I don't think is anything good, bad, or indifferent. It's just like any of us at our job. Sometimes we want a new challenge or something different to do. Like, I don't want to just press the same button over and over again. I want to do something new.
Yeah,
so I agree.
It seems like everybody we talk to the studio, whether it's, Trevor doing the photography, Treadaway doing the sculpting, Jeremy doing the bios, and even Cameron last week, it just seems like there's a lot of enthusiasm in the studio when it comes to this figure Obscura line. They get really excited about these things. And you can tell they just enjoy it. So that's pretty cool too, because you can kind of feel that energy.
Yep.
Well, here's one that would be right into Jeremy's wheelhouse. Aesop. Aesop's Fables, because you could have him packaged with like 3 or 4 little non-articulated critters in the box, like a wolf or like a fox and a couple little animals or something. That'd be fun. I don't know if it would be big enough to sell thousands of pieces, but it'd be a fun one.
But who would have said Monkey King was, really? But I think Aesop, I think Robin Hood, I think a few of those are almost definitely on somebody's notepad. Like they've got to be. They just have to be. They fit too well. That I'd buy an Aesop.
I'm pretty sure, I don't remember if it was Jeremy, someone from the studio said that like we see all the things people are saying, and they're like, we've talked, like if they're pretty much, if you've said it in the Cabal, it's something we've already talked about. It doesn't mean it's coming, but it's like, so they they got their finger on the, what's that word? What's the expression?
Finger on the pulse.
Pulse. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going to go, but it was not going to be right.
Six Bonks is saying the competition is starting to show up, like Almighty Legion, Sevis Crucible, Fury Planet, NECA with 4H stepping up their game to meet and exceed the competition. I don't get that vibe from them. I don't think that they look at it as a competition. Like, I think that they are just trying to do right by the fans and to continue to put out stuff that they would want to buy. Like, I don't ever get the vibe of they're trying to compete with others. Like they, in fact, LegionsCon, I know we were talking about like the focus on Mythic Legions at LegionsCon, but they bring in all these other vendors. Like, you're going to see Animal Warriors of the Kingdom there. You're going to see Beasts of the Mesozoic there. Like they actually encourage these other, smaller companies, these independent, these IPs to come to LegionsCon and promote their product and help them get on their feet. And, it's one of those, what is it? Rising tide raises all ships.
Yep.
And that is really their mentality. So, yeah, like Cornboy says, they're just trying not to suck. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that they just are committed to putting out great toys that they themselves would want to buy. And it shows. And that's impressive because, a lot of these bigger companies, you don't get that feel like they care about toys or they like the property. Like, it's just, you kind of get the big corporate machine feel to like a Hasbro or a Mattel. But with these guys, that they love what they do, and it shows in the work. So,
yeah. I mean, in that vein, this maybe is something that they would never say, but I think the worst thing that could happen to this line is for them to get like Target distribution. It would. Yeah. It's just not what this is about, and certainly that could be tremendous for them, and they could get a million piece order that helps them all retire earlier, and wonderful if they do, right? Like that's great. But I think it would really hurt the line because, when you see the guys from Hasbro, like the G.I. Joe designer, Lenny, I have no doubt that he loves what he does and he loves G.I. Joe, but he also has a whole bunch of bosses and they don't know anything about it. And they're just worried about, did you sell enough to hit the bottom line? And it just doesn't feel that way. Certainly this is a business and they've got to make money, but I agree with what you said. I think they want to be, I think Six Bunks also said that. I think that the Horsemen would probably pride themselves on being industry leaders in the quality of product, but they want to keep their customers and keep them happy and sort of grow it organically versus, whatever other way. And suddenly we double our sales volume. They care about us. I truly do believe they care about us.
I agree with you that I don't know that the line would be a good one for being in like a Walmart or Target or something like that. But I do think the figure Obscura specifically would do well in some sort of retail environment. And I know that's something that Jeremy has talked about, whether it's
or those
introducing that into, whether it's comic shops or a GameStop or something like that, to where you make it more readily available for people. I think that would be a good entry for folks. And I could see that doing well on a retail side.
Well, and I think it's been wonderful that they've grown their authorized retailers. I finally have 2 that I can get to within 2 hours. But I'm in Atlanta. Atlanta's what, the 5th or biggest city in the country, and we don't have an authorized retailer in the city of Atlanta. We have to go to South Carolina or almost at the edge of the state. But it's a different world when you can walk in and see them. It's a different world. But will that do well at Walmart at $49.95? There's not a single figure on that figure aisle at $49.95. So
I know Cornboy was talking. I don't know if it was on our show, Curtis, or when he was on Legion's Lair, one of the other shows. I don't remember now. It's too long. He said if they ever did anything at a box store like that, it would be, more in line with the reinforcement way, where it's, the more basic paint apps, like basic accessories, that kind of stuff. And it is something they've talked about, but not, which I think that'd be great for customizers and great for people to like dip their toe in. But there would have to be a way for them to like realize, oh, there's a lot more to this than just this.
And the thing about
light level paint.
Yeah, and the thing about doing it in retail is then you have to make a lot more of them, and you're going to assume that you would sell more of them, which means that you would probably be able to offer it at a little bit lower price as well. Sure. So I don't know that I would expect it to be pre-order prices, but I would expect it to be closer to that than what we see for retailer prices. So if, let's say that you did a figure Obscura, or let's try to take the Legion Builder example. We get those for $25. And then I think the retail is like $39. I think it's almost $40. I would say it would be probably closer to that $25, maybe even $30 in stores, which, I mean, if you compare that, if I take a Marvel Legend for $30 and I take a Legion Builder Mythic Legion for $30 and you put those side by side in the store, I'm going with that Legion Builder all day. So,
I would be, if they, who knows? I mean, we're all just, spitballing. I think if I think about an entry point for Figura Obscura, like with the Headless Horseman, what if they had done a promo, or could still, where it's in Spirit Halloween stores when that rolls out? Something like that is a limited retail run at a niche dedicated market.
Yeah.
Maybe a Spirit Halloween store has 100 of them each. I bet they'd sell them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
How many people have stuck those up in their Halloween decorations?
But I know, I had a conversation with Cornboy at Mythic, and one of the things that they really pride themselves in is that because they're independently owned and they don't have anybody to answer to, they don't have to worry about the pressure of putting something out they don't want to do, or to, rush and put something out before it's ready. I know there's some people out there that are a little irritated because some of these waves take a long time to get. I know, Poxus has been on order for 2+ years now. But I would rather have it right. And I know that's the thing that they strive for, is that they want whatever you ordered in the pre-order, whatever they showed you, they want you to get it that good or better. and you know, which is, I can't say that there's too many figures that I've gotten. In fact, I can't think of one that I've gotten that I go, this is not what you sold me. This is not what I bought on the pre-order. You know, when I got it in hand, it's always as good, if not better, than what we saw. So,
and I mean, every other toy line I collect, I can immediately think of one, like without any effort. Even lines I love, you know, Super 7 stuff, I can think of one. G.I. Joe, I can, you know, the Falcon that just came out is horrendous. That's, you know, that's a testament to it. I agree. It does stink when you've got your money tied up for periods of time and don't come. But I also think that's going to pass here with Cosmic One and with Poxus. Once they're out, I have a feeling we're going to be back into pretty normal.
Well, because those were both. I got a point of order for you. It's only been a year and a half for Poxus.
So
it was
gotcha.
So,
by the time it gets, because it's
by the time it gets here, it'll be around
2 years. Yeah.
Gotcha. But like I think that's all still because of the choke up from
Cosmic has been over 2 years, right?
Cosmic has been over 2 years. Yeah. But I know those are all. There's been like just that choke up with all the stuff, you know, through from COVID and like the shutdowns and all that stuff. So,
but we are also, you know, once again, getting a lot more tooling too, which does make it take longer. Now, you know, I know the Euro Legions guys were talking about it on one of their shows, but, you know, it's kind of one of those things, and I don't know exactly the Horseman model, so I'm not trying to tell them how to do business, but, you know, do you get started on some of this tooling ahead of time before you actually do the pre-orders? That way you can maybe shrink that window a little bit, you know, because you know that these things are going to sell. So if you've got an idea for a wave, do you maybe start working on that tooling before you even sell any of them, so we can kind of shrink that window?
I'm pretty sure they have said they do that. Yeah. Because like Jeremy's talks about, you know, what was it? The head, and the vampire heads pack that was tooled forever ago. That's true. To be a different
and they even
figure.
said that with the Deacon armor, they've had that tooled and ready to go for another character that wasn't used.
They'll think about All Stars 5+ and how quickly that wave got out. If they had not already been in tooling, it's not possible for those new figures. Because they came out in like 9 months, I think, from pre-order to
that was pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I think there was a choke up, and I think Jeremy has stated they had some things they needed to revisit with Poxus that slowed thing. You know, they needed to kind of whatever. And but I think that's the end of our point in time of COVID and everything else, because everything since then, because Cosmic 2 is right behind Cosmic, right behind it. You know,
there is a little bit of something going on too, because the way they've got it broken down the last year or so, the ogres or bigger size characters are done in one factory, and then the other characters are done in another factory. So I know, like, when I think it was Deluxe Legion builders, when they came in, like the individual orders were going out before the all ends, which usually in the past it was all the all ends went first. And with Cosmic, my understanding is that the Kragnars and Slogs have been there at the studio for a little bit now, but they're waiting for the other ones, which are supposed to arrive like this week, in order to put everything together. So
taking a Slog early, you know.
So I think that has, trying to coordinate those two factories to finish things at the same time is a little bit of a bottleneck as well, but hopefully they're working through some of that.
And again, if we have to wait a couple extra months or, like even a year, I would rather wait for them to fix the neck joint on Kragnar or, those different things, so they sit right and they look the way they intend them to, and get the right figure, than, get the, I don't want to, but, like the really thin plastic on the Hasbro, the D&D cartoon figures. When those first started coming out, I every post I saw was their arms are snapping off, it's right out of the box. And so yeah, I'd rather wait and get the better thing. But yeah, I know they've definitely talked about how they may not be able to tool everything, but they'll throw in some bits here and there that they know is coming and try to work on them ahead of time.
I really have a feeling that Cosmic has been under ordered.
Yes.
Probably very similar to early Mythic Legion, that like people were just like, I'm not sure how far this line's going to go. I'm not sure if it's going to take off. I'm not sure what they're going to, and I think once we get these in hand, I think people are going to really regret either not ordering or not ordering enough.
In my world, sphere of friends, and I would argue probably most people's sphere of friends, specifically because of Star Wars and Star Trek, space sci-fi is bigger than fantasy. You have people that because it's become more mainstream, right? There was Star Wars 30 years before there was a Lord of the Rings movie that was successful. Now I love fantasy more, but all the rest of my family, like my sisters, are much more space sci-fi. So I think it's under. I think that line is going to explode, proportionally to what it is. I agree, and I think those figures are going to be hard to get by the end of the year.
Yeah,
I really think that.
Cool. Well, you got anything that you've been watching lately and enjoying? I don't know how. I mean, it sounds like you guys are pretty busy, but I don't know. Do you enjoy watching anything on the boob tube or at the movies?
We go to a lot of movies.
Okay.
We actually have the AMC subscription thing, which it's like $21, I think, a month. You get 3 movies a week.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we always have an opportunity for a date that's already paid for, like date night or go as a family or whatever. So I will say the series of movies that recently have came out, Spider-Man and Flash and Transformers: Rise of the Beast. We loved the Transformers movie. We loved it. Surprisingly, like I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 of the Bay movies. I'm not a guy that's like, oh, it's not my childhood, curses, I'm not going to see it. I don't, I'm not like that. I just hadn't seen them. I didn't even see Bumblebee. I went into that movie with very low expectations and loved it. As far as TV, I mean, we watched Succession, so it was absolutely incredible. I was like immediately posting, like, you could have given me 1,000,000 years if you would say, hey, you're going to see a toy line you collect on one of your TV shows. Succession would have never been the show I guessed. That was incredible. But that's wrapped up. We watch a lot of anime. So we watch the Marvel stuff together. So we watched Secret Invasion Wednesday, which I thought was pretty good for the first episode. But yeah, we watch a fair amount of stuff. The normal things most people watch.
I got a question since you're a Turtles fan.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts for the new Mutant Mayhem movie coming out?
So I have I am excited that I get to go see it with the family. I think the animation style is smart because they're looking at the success of Spider-Verse, and I think it's a similar animation style. When they just like the initial teaser, I was like, and then when they announced the voice cast, I was like, oh, okay, like these are some guys that I think are pretty funny and heavy hitters. And I've liked the trailer, so I'm excited for it. Am I going to buy those action figures? No, but they're not for me. Now in my Turtles group, everybody today went and bought them because they came out today. I'm like, man, leave those things for the kids. Those are not for at $8.99.
I'm gonna get the Raph just because I get every time they put out a new Raph, I get a version of him, except for the Bay one. I can't buy that.
Yeah, this one yet?
Okay, maybe not every version of Raph, but
that's the 4-pack one that just came out from that company.
Oh, is that the Larson set?
Yeah.
I want Raph, but I can't do the 4-pack.
Well, Matt only collects Donatello. Matt that we were talking to earlier. So hey, you're almost there. That's
there you go. You just got to find 2 more people.
Yeah.
2 more people. Okay.
I'm sure there's a Mikey fan out there. I don't know where you're gonna find a Leo guy. So
well, that's a conversation for another day.
I mean, seriously, who's a Leo guy? I mean,
originally I was a Leo guy. The only
Really?
reason I picked Raph was because when we were kids, Sean had read the movie novel before the movie came out.
Yeah.
So he knew more and he liked Leo too. So I stepped back, let him do Leo, and I was Raph.
I thought
Leo
in the movie, and you're like, yeah, that's my man. Yeah.
No, I liked Raph because like it was originally billed as like sarcasm. What was his like thing? It was like
cool but rude. He's my favorite too.
Well, on his card it said something like his jokes are like sarcasm, like laced with poison or something. I was like, ooh, that's kind of fun. I didn't know what it meant in like 4th grade, really, but yeah.
What are your
Yeah,
thoughts
so
on that Turtles movie?
I agree. I was going to say the same thing about the Spider-Verse animation. It has that somewhere between like CG animation vibe and like the hand-drawn like look, like the textures and stuff. I know Clone Wars started doing that. The Arcane series on Netflix did that, where it looks almost like kind of chalk on a substance. I really like the look of it. I like that they're kids. Like they feel
Yeah.
like actual teenagers. They don't just feel like college dudes or, you know, adults behaving like children. They actually feel like kids. And I think that's a version I've not gotten to experience with them yet, because I didn't really get into the was it the 2012 series
Me either. Yeah, it was 12.
that I know a lot of people love it, but I just didn't have access to it, so I've never been able to watch it yet. But
Joe says Leo's the Cyclops of the Turtles, and I 100% agree with that. So, and then Kempool has a good idea. Leo can be Goblin custom pieces. So
there you go.
That's a good use for Leo there.
I do. I love the look of the. Oh,
I think
sorry,
it
Chris,
looks good. I would rather, I think, see it streaming somewhere than go like. I mean, you know me, Jesse. I'm not a big go to the movies to see an animated feature anyway, but at least Spider-Man to me was like, okay, I could see the appeal of seeing this on the big screen. This Turtle movie to me, I want to see it, but it is not like pulling me to go watch it at the theater. Like I can definitely wait for this to come out, in my opinion. I would have been way more excited for a live action. Like if it was live action, anything Turtles, I'm going, you know, day one. So
Well, you need to spend money to go see the animated so that they see that they
yeah,
the way this works.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, this is certainly a movie I'm excited to take the family to. Would I go by myself? That's you know, maybe not. You know,
Yeah.
but I think it looks good. I think I'm gonna have a good time.
I think it's gonna be fun for sure. I mean, yeah. At least it's a property that's getting some love. I mean, there's a lot of properties out there that, you know, just don't get anything new. So yeah, it's cool.
I like my friend sent me some pictures. He's our, you know, in our age range. He loves turtles, but he wasn't going to get those figures. He saw them today. He's like, I got the 3 they had, and I had to order Mikey because no one had it in stock locally. And I tried to order the RAF, and like after 2 hours, Target was like, oh no, it's not in stock. So I was like, all right, I'll just, you know, it'll come back around. But I'm not excited about who's making them, but I love the IDW designs that Beast Action is going to be putting out. But I don't care for their quality, but I love those designs.
You know, it's because we're in this unbelievable age of Ninja Turtle product right now. If the Best Action stuff had come out 5 years ago, everybody would be raving over that one. Because NECA and Super Set. I mean, there's so much good Turtle stuff right now. But I agree. But man, they're going to some awesome deep cuts. The IDW stuff, the streetwear Turtles that they had out, like they're going places no one else is going, which is maybe what they're like in the world of business. I can only imagine what that Turtles license looks like, because everybody apparently can make Turtles if they want. The 3 of us, Turtles line.
We got a meeting right after this to talk about that.
Yeah. I will say, since it gives me hope, like I'll get the RAF from that just because it's RAF. But I hope that means that NECA might maybe have that IDW, because that is a deep well of really cool alternate takes on the characters. Like I'd love to get an Alopex, Jenica, their version of Casey, and like that line would be a hard one for me to resist getting more than just a couple.
With Mirage, Archie, Last Ronin, they're certainly all around it. So you would think they would.
I count my blessings every day that like I was towards the tail end of my youthful collecting when Turtles came out. So I have some nostalgia for it, but I don't need everything. So, you know, I'm able to just kind of pick and choose, like, okay, I'm just going to have the Turtles and Shredder from this line, and I'm going to have the Turtles and Shredder from that line, and maybe the Turtle Shredder and Ace Duck from this line, and then I'm good, But there's so much turtle property out there right now that I mean, they're great. The stuff NECA's doing, Super 7, the movie stuff.
I think the NECA cartoon Turtles line is going to go down as one of the greatest toy lines it's ever made. It is so deep. I mean, the ones I just bought this week, Bugman, Electro Zapper, I have no idea who they are. No idea. They've gone so deep in that line that I'm like, I don't remember these characters at all. But I have all the rest. I guess I gotta get.
They're cool, yeah.
But you pick it up and you look at it and you're like, wow. I mean, the sculpt and paint. I guess this is what this character in the background of 1 second of one movie looked like, But
I got the 4-pack of Turtles from the movie, the second movie, The Secret of the Ooze, and they look so good I can't even open the box. Like I will just look at the box and like see them in there, and I'm like, I can't even open this thing. Like, it's beautiful.
I'm gonna tell you, once the Turtle 3 Turtles get here after Comic-Con, you're gonna have some pictures from me with Monkey King with those samurai turtles.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's coming.
But those movie figures, like, they look like they're straight out of the movie. Like, it is so good. And I know, like, especially early on, it seemed like NECA was having a lot of quality control issues, but it seemed like a lot of them, they've worked a lot of that out, and their stuff just looks fire lately. So yeah,
it's a lot that everybody said, I hate Turtles 3, I'm not going to buy them. And then, they put them up and they sell out just like everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the third movie at the time. I think I've only watched it a couple of times back when it did come out, but the only thing I want out of that pack are the alternate heads.
They're cool.
They look really good, but I love the first movie ones. I have all 4 of them: Splinter, Casey, Shredder, a bunch of foot soldiers from that. I have Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future from NECA as like the cameraman. He's got the camcorder, so he's like filming April with her microphone.
Have either of you encountered the quarter scale in person from that line, the quarter scale movie line?
I have Raph. I have Raph quarter scale and Raph the animated quarter scale.
Is the movie? I mean, it may as well be
in
the movie. They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you guys. I have not seen a live action turtle movie that I didn't love. Like, even the newer stuff. Like, I have. You put live action turtles on the screen, and I'm gonna watch it. Like, I just love. And this is from the guy that only likes one Indiana Jones movie. So
theater this weekend.
No, I don't plan. I'll probably see it on streaming, but the only Indiana Jones I've ever liked is Last Crusade. But I tell you what, you put Turtles live action on a screen, I don't care what the storyline is, I'm watching. So, yeah.
I am going to remember that and hold you to that for the rest of the time I know you.
That's fine. That's fine. I hope they do another live action at some point soon. I would love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
With as much practical suit as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the original ones. Nice.
Cool.
All right. I think it's
getting
pretty close to a show.
What do you have anything else coming up that you want to promote, Big Dub? Anything coming up on your channel or shows that you're going to be going to?
Oh, we'll be at PowerCon in about 6 weeks, the Friday of PowerCon. So I know a lot of folks will be going to that. If you want to come up, say hello. I'm sure I'll be at the Legion's booth quite a bit. No, I mean, every Sunday we've got a new episode of Life of the Dubs. The one that was out today was a big convention. It was a boys' day, which is rare for me. It was a day with the boys to Joe Fest. We saw a lot of. You can see the Valaverse $175 vehicle in that video. If you want.
Nice.
But no, I looking forward to LegionsCon. Looking forward to PowerCon. Life will get a lot busier with personal stuff once school starts back again, and the kiddo has all of her events. So we slow down some, but.
I tell you what, I loved the little pop and swap kind of customizing thing that you guys did as a family. That was so much fun.
Thank you. Yeah, we enjoyed it, and we'll probably get back into that again. The space just gets filled up with stuff. The same space to paint is to I've got a massive sewer diorama right here to take pictures with the turtle.
Yeah.
All the Gundam, and you get too deep into all the hobbies. But I now that Monkey's here, because I am going to do something with the pieces I'm not using.
It's funny though, because when you start playing with these things and you take them apart and then you're left with all these extra things. I was talking about it with Emil this weekend, and he showed me he's got a table of carnage that's just like the leftover stuff that he tore apart. And he's like, I don't even want to look over there because it's like looking at my shame. But yeah, I know what you mean. As soon as you start those pop and swap type things, it's like now you've got this huge mess that you've got to deal with.
Yeah, I've got two big bags of fodder parts because I'm like, what am I going to use to this monkey head on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to dump this stuff out and see what I've got. Figure it out. There's no reason to take apart another figure, in the backlog of extra builders or whatever. I'm like, I'm sure I have all the pieces I need somewhere in here, which is fun.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being on. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and put you in the green room. If you got to go, that's fine. Otherwise, stick around. We'll talk to you in a second, and we'll close out the show.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, make sure you folks check out Big Dub on his YouTube channel. He does have an Instagram as well. And he's been, I know, doing stuff in the Cabal, sharing things in there. So check all of that out.
I know he mentioned it tonight, but you really get the vibe from watching his shows, especially the ones that are centered around him and his family, like that they are just doing it for themselves. Like they're just having fun. It's not like, it's not one of these YouTube channels where they're trying to do something to bump the numbers up. They're just having fun, and it's really enjoyable to watch. So, and like I said, that pop and swap little segment that they did was really fun. So check them out. And we look forward to seeing him. I know you'll see him at PowerCon, and I look forward to seeing him at LegionsCon for sure.
And LegionsCon,
yeah.
All right. Well, next week, same time, same channel. We've got Chris Ferrone coming on. He specifically sent this picture. He wanted me to get him and his wife in the graphic tonight. So there you go, Chris. I think he said it's their anniversary this week. So
now, is that Chris a real beard that he has there, or is that a clip-on beard?
His whole jaw just pops out, and no. So yeah, Chris Ferrone of Mythic Bits. Chris and Shane do the Mythic Bits, the beard clips, and the different things. So he'll be joining us. Chris will be joining us next Sunday at 9:00. We just had OffWorld Friday, where we talked about stuff, Spider-Verse, and a lot of other stuff. And we're gonna have 2 weeks of the OffWorld. OffWorld.
We did talk about movie etiquette. Can I know this is not OffWorld, but can I air some OffWorld laundry real quick before we close out the show?
I suppose
I've got to get this off my chest, and I really just need to talk to you. I don't want to talk to the other two guys because whatever. Remember the story that I was telling about the guy in the movie theater that was eating pistachios and throwing all the shells on the ground? He was a real giant D-bag.
Yeah.
So we get done with the show that night, and in the morning, my wife's telling me she was listening to the show, and she was just laughing. And she's like, I had to laugh when you were telling that story. I'm like, why is that? She goes, because that was you idiot. I'm like, what? And I know it's been many years ago. And she's like, yeah, that was you. You were the one eating the pistachios and throwing your shells on the ground. And I'm like, and I had to think about it. And it was me. And I guess I had blocked that part out of my memory when I was telling the story, because I do remember feeling shame over that event. And because before that, I had this thing where I would never pick up my trash in the theater, just the stuff concessions that I bought or whatever. I wouldn't pick up my trash because I considered that job security for the people that work there. But then I guess after that event, I was so embarrassed by that when the lights came on and there's shells everywhere that I started picking up my trash. So now I never leave anything behind. I will make sure it is in perfect shape. They don't even need to visit my area by the time I leave. but I guess I had blocked that out of my memory. And I just was like, yeah, that guy was a total D-bag. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm the guy. I'm the D-bag. So,
Dun dun
there you go.
dun.
Yeah, dun dun dun. But I had totally blocked it out of my memory until my wife reminded me. So I just got to come clean to you, Jesse. I'm a giant jerk.
Well,
or at least
I
was at one period in time.
I appreciate that when I know I've told the story, but at least you didn't boo someone's proposal at a movie
Yes,
theater.
That's true. You did brew.
So you might have blocked it from your memory, but that's
another time. But
yeah,
speaking of OffWorld, though, next 2 weeks are considered off weeks for OffWorld. So no Dooch Genda. It will just kind of be shooting the shit, doing our thing, doing what we do, talking toys and whatever. And it seems like those episodes do fairly well anyway, even without a Dooch Genda. So join us. It'll be fun.
yes. Well, thank you all for being here. Check out Big Dub and his family on their channel and everything. We'll be back next week with Chris Ferrone. And as always, what's on your shelf?